Well, boys, we're back with the B1 podcast. Lots of stuff to catch up on since we last had one put out. Free agency started the ninth. Lots of trades and signs to catch up on. So let's just dive right into it. So, Omera, before we started, you said that you wanted to talk about the team that's been making a whole bunch of moves lately. The Sens with signing Matt Murray. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, that Matt Murray signing was a little bit confusing to me, especially with Melnick as the owner. I didn't think that they were gonna give him that big of an overpay. I don't know. I don't know if you guys think it's an overpay, but for a guy who had kind of two good postseasons behind some unreal teams, uh, and then nothing really after that, I don't know how he got more money than guys like Markstrom and Holtby. You know what I mean?
Well, because of that, pretty much before this whole the free agency started, the Suns they were about 20 million below the cap floor. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Maybe even more.
yeah, so that just sort of goes to show it's like okay, they're able to overpay these guys because they have to hit that floor, right? I mean, when you look at it
Yeah.
as a rookie, I mean, sure it wasn't quite his cup because he had Fleury, like play the first few rounds, right?
Right.
So I mean, he still has won two Stanley Cups, and you don't luck your way into a Stanley Cup, right?
No, I get that, but I don't know if he's a six. He's the most paid goalie in this year's goalie class, and if you look at the other names that were there, like I was saying, Markstrom, right? He's been a great goalie for years.
Mm.
Holtby, who I would arguably take over Markstrom and Murray. So
Really?
I don't know.
Holtby.
Yeah, man.
Huh.
I don't find the signing that bad. Obviously, Ottawa had to get to the cap floor, and I don't think they're a team that wants to spend that money on impact players who are actually going to make them better at this point in time. Like,
So you don't think Murray makes them better?
well, obviously he does because their goaltending last year was Anderson and
Yeah, I don't even know who their backup was.
Anders Nilsson. So I think this move sort of sets them up to be able to reach the cap floor the next couple of years while they have all these guys still on their entry-level deals. And then they'll have to sign the Tkachuks and the Branston, the Stützles, and et cetera. So I don't mind it. And especially compared to the other goalie signings, I think those are just because those goalies wanted to compete and go to good teams. And obviously, money's tight in the league right now, so the good teams don't have any. So unless, like, Markstrom wanted to go to fucking Detroit, then I think he's happy with the pay cut.
Yeah.
Omer, you were talking about how you said that you would rank Holtby over top of Murray and Markstrom. Yes.
Yeah, I mean I think he's been a top, at least 10 goalie in the league for years now. I mean, he had a couple tough last seasons, but again, he's a guy that's kind of like Murray in a way that he won a cup when he was pretty young, but he had some really great seasons before that, and he had a couple after that. I think he's just way more proven. I think Holtby got a good contract. I think he got it on a bit more of a bargain. I think he could have gotten at least $5 million.
I'm looking at Holtby stuff right here, and pretty much after the 2016-17 season, where he put up a 925 save percentage, he dropped off to a 907. He slightly improved to a 911 in the 18-19 season, but then he dropped to below a 900 this past season. And that's not to say that Matt Murray didn't have a rough season too, because he also posted an 899 save, which is below 900. But looking at Matt Murray's past, he does happen to have higher save percentages overall.
And a smaller sample size. Exactly.
But that's also showing that Holtby right now is like on the downcline because he's 31 years old and Matt Murray's only 26.
Yeah.
Well, Holtby's only on a 2-year deal, so it's not like they're committing into him long term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's just there to kind of be that 1B for Demko while he develops a little bit more.
Oh yeah, that's still going to be a quality tandem for goaltenders, right? I mean, we saw Demko in the playoffs. That was full beast mode, right? Let's see.
Speaking of guys replacing guys in the in the West. So now that Petrangelo's gone to the Knights, what do you guys think of Krug replacing Petrangelo at St. Louis?
I think talent-wise, it's a clear downgrade. I don't
Yeah.
think I can argue. Petrangelo is
100%.
probably top 5 defenseman in the
Top
NHL.
3, I'd say.
Yeah,
probably.
exactly. So, I think that hurts St. Louis. But I mean, they have Falk and Parayko, and
It softens the blow a little bit. Right?
yeah, they have enough guys that can share the load, but it obviously hurts losing someone of that caliber.
But also, you got to keep in mind though, because I believe Pietrangelo was asking for about $9 million with the Blues, somewhere
Yeah.
around that area, and they got Krug for almost $3 million less than that. So I mean, given that salary difference and the skill difference, do you think that's like actually not bad at all? I mean, personally, looking at the skill difference, Krug is still a great defense, like great defenseman, right?
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
Brings a little bit more offense. He's just not as solid on D, right?
yeah. But when you look at it though, you're saving that $3 million where you can go out and add some more pieces that you might need because they're still a contending team. If Bennington can rebound, because he had a bit of a down season. I mean, he's had 2 seasons, so we don't really know what to get with him, right?
Yeah.
So small sample size there. But looking at it, I mean, personally, I think that because I heard that Pietrangelo, like after the discussions broke off with him, right? I mean, why wouldn't you go out and get the next best defenseman on the market? Which I think we can all agree Krug was the second best.
Yeah.
there, right?
No, 100%.
So I mean,
But
why
I
not do
think
that?
Petrangelo's game translates more to like when he gets older, whereas Krug, who's more offensive, a more offensive style, those guys tend to fall off a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's more skating involved with the offensive D-men than there is defensive, right? Because there's more skating, you have to be able to keep up, right? So speaking of Krug, looking at the Bruins defense now, they're starting to get a little weaker back there.
Looking tough, yeah.
I
mean,
Pasternak and Marchand are going to miss the beginning of the
yeah.
season.
Yeah, 4 and 5 months out.
And Pasternak will miss like into February.
Pasternak is going into March, and then Marchand is into February. So
but the Bruins will still find a way in. Like it's the fucking Bruins. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, like they're losing Big Z back there. Like they're not losing him, but like he's getting.
He's not a top 4 guy anymore, right? He's
with that.
I don't even know why he's still in the league, to be honest.
No.
And then Pietrangelo obviously came in 7 years, 8.8, not a bad deal. He's 30 though, so I don't know how that's going to look by the last couple of years. But to get a guy like that, you have to give him that term.
Yeah, exactly.
But I get they had to ship out Schmidt, who was maybe behind Theodore as arguably their number 1 D-man. So and they had to get who they dumped to for some more cap relief.
Also, Amir, just before we get more into it, Pietrangelo, he was just shy of $9 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
8.8.
So I mean, they moved out Schmidt.
Jake, you bastard.
What? I'm giving out the real stuff here.
Yeah. You're just repeating what the fuck I said.
No, you said 8 mil. I'm saying they're just shy of 9.
No, I said 8.8.
I heard 8. That's all I heard because you were like.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, well we can put this.
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
Cut.
I was like,
I didn't hear the 8.
It's like, Nick, where are you going with this?
No, like he cut out for me when he said that, so I just heard the 8.
Okay, fuck.
That's like almost $1 million.
All right.
Please.
All right, so Schmidt. All right, starting now. So who'd they ship out?
Schmidt.
Yeah, Schmidt and Paul Stastny. So I don't know. Does that really make the team better if they lose a guy, like basically their number 2 center and their number 2 D-man?
Yeah, Vegas is a little weak down the middle after William Karlsson now. Just going down the list, I think Cody Glass is the next guy, and he's promising, so you never know. But then it drops Chandler Stevenson and Tom Nosek on the 4th line. It's not the greatest center, but they also have Alec Martinez on the blue line to sort of replace Schmidt for the 1 year.
But I mean, I guess the rest of their top 6 is pretty nasty.
They're very insane.
But I don't know. I don't know how much better this makes the team, to be honest. I think that their defense gets better, but it did hurt their offense with Stastny leaving, right?
Absolutely. And when looking at it now, because they were like projected to be way above the cap initially after they like until they move those guys out, and they have next to no breathing room with the Pietrangelo contract, right? So I mean, when you look at it, I think it more or less hurts the team with them signing him, just
Yeah.
because they're not going to be able to fill that hole where they're taking the impact,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know. It's and Stastny's a kind of like he's a step below that Selke level, right? Where he's a defensive center. What are you laughing at, Jake? Yeah, so he's
So
a step
sad.
below. He's a step below that Selke center, and who brings you a good amount of offense still. So I don't know. I don't like the move that much, but obviously it lands them Pietrangelo, so you can't complain too much.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we can all agree 8.8 for Pietrangelo. That's actually a pretty good price considering like what's some
It's
other.
good. Yeah, it's a good price for the first 4 years, I'd say. After that, it's kind of hit or miss. You know, some guys like Weber kind of keep going through their late to mid 30s. But yeah, you'll just have to see. And then the other guy, Taylor Hall, last kind of that top
Big
three.
Big fish.
Yeah. 1 year, $8 million for Buffalo. Just before we start, I wanted to read off Buffalo's projected top six for you guys next year.
All right, let's hear it.
So we got first line Hall, Eichel, Olofsson.
That's a
Second
nasty
line,
top line.
Skinner, Stahl, and Reinhardt. That's looking nice, man.
It is looking nice, but at the
Also-
same time, you got to hope that Skinner can rebound from the season he had. I have no doubts that he's going to be better than he was this year.
Yeah.
They also have Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn. I don't know if either of them will make it this year, but those
Cody
are-
Eakin, too, they brought in.
Mhm.
I don't know. Buffalo, like, we've been saying this for years, like, oh, Buffalo might actually be a good team this year. And they start off the season like 20-0 or whatever, and then they always fucking miss the play. But
Exactly.
I think this year they could do it.
Buffalo
Especially
has
with
a lot of players expiring on contracts next year, so I don't know what they're going to do next offseason, including Taylor Hall.
But like you said, they have younger guys on entry-level deals that might be able to come in and replace. Like if Jack Quinn can score goals at the same rate as he did in juniors, like that's a perfect replacement for Hall if he doesn't resign.
You know what? Let's move to another team here that once again popular and no matter how you look at them, whether you love them or hate them, they're going to be a popular team no matter what. Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, the Brody signing?
Brody signing. They added quite a few additional pieces too. Simmons, they got Big Bogo back there now.
Bogo Norris, baby.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I don't know. At first I didn't like the pick, honestly. I thought, I don't know. I guess I just haven't watched a lot of TJ Brody, but he's a good pickup. It's a lot of cap for a team that's already cap strapped, you know what I mean?
I mean, beforehand, looking at it, when I first saw the news break about it, I'm like, that's way too much for the guy. That's way too much. But the more I get looking at it, these guys they almost got him last year in the Kadri trade, but he exited out because he didn't want to go to the Flames, right? So, it's not like the Leafs haven't just been like, okay, we need a guy, we'll get him. Like, they've had their eye on him for a good amount of time by now. So, looking at what you get with him, he plays the right side as a left shot. You know what? I'm not going to complain too much about the handedness when it's like, okay, they need good defensemen. Get that first, because you can always improve on how you play on the other side, right? But for the Bogo signing too, $1 million, big body. As long as he's not trying to do a bunch of stuff.
I think they're great signings. The team was clearly one of the weakest in the league. I think they had the least amount of hits per game in the play-ins and playoffs, which is why I guess they didn't make it past Columbus. But I think these are nice to make them more physical. The only problem is that these guys play such limited roles. How much of an impact is it going to make?
Yeah.
Bogosian and Simmons will play 10 minutes each a night. So
yeah. Well, that's if that for Bogosian, right? Because he could very well take Marinchin's seventh D-man. Because I think I can speak for most Leaf fans when we say I'd rather have Dermott or Hall out there instead of Bogosian.
I don't know. I haven't watched enough Leafs, but
skill-wise, I prefer them out. But they need that toughness, right? So having Bogosian out there and you put him with Lettinen or Dermott or whatever, who are more skilled guys, or at least we're hoping for Lettinen, could be a
But
good
you look
combo.
at the guys too that they had to ship out to sign
Mhm.
Brody, guys like Kapanen and guys like Janssen.
Yeah.
Like that hurts, man. That hurts their offensive
Yeah.
production, especially
Well,
in the
I
middle
mean,
six.
People have to move.
Hmm?
Who are they going to move to sign Mikheyev and Dermott? Or are they going to move those guys? And if they do,
I mean,
that they lose even more depth.
I could see them moving Hall because they have Sandin and they have Liljegren coming up, who are Sandin is looking promising. He cracked the lineup this year because of like injuries, but even when he did crack the lineup, he did look impressive. It's just most of the fact where he's still a little small, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you ask me if they have to ship out one of their defensemen, I would say Hull. Currently, he is still better than Dermott, but I feel like Dermott has a higher ceiling, and he's also 5 years younger, I think.
Yeah.
And also, he's just got that pain in the ass type of game that he plays. Like he's not like
Yeah. That's what the Leafs need.
exactly. He's like a little pest, right? I mean, he sort of fills in what Kapanen was trying to be for a little bit, where he was just trying to be that little agitator on the team. But since
Yeah.
he's gone, I mean, Dermott also is taking that role up on the defensive end as well. So I think it could look promising if you have that annoying guy on the back end and you put him with Bogosian, who can just knock your teeth out if he wants.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad pairing.
All right, then I guess we'll move on to a signing that I really liked as a Habs fan, Tyler Toffoli to Montreal. Another guy that Vancouver loses. Montreal picks him up for 4 times $4.3 million.
I think the part to point out with here is with Toffoli is he got signed for less than Josh Anderson. So I mean, it sort of balances out that trade, right?
I mean, that Josh Anderson looks rough, honestly, but I mean, we'll see. If he gets back to that season where he scored 27 goals, that's a good signing. But it's just about, he had an injury year last year. We're not sure how he's going to be able to come back. But maybe the Habs must have done their scouting. They wouldn't have traded Domi if they weren't confident that Anderson was able to come back healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great signing. The Habs add another guy who scored 30 goals, and now the Habs have 6 guys who like year by year consistently give you 20 to 25 goals, and 3 of them have had 30 goal seasons before.
Yeah, and it's
That's
also
great
looking at the
signing.
term. Go right.
It's a great signing for under $4.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's probably because of the cap situation in the league right now, but only for 4 years too. For a 28-year-old, even if it goes bad, you can wait it out. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But worst case scenario, he's scoring as a third line forward for you, and even then, you can't complain.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
but the Habs still don't have that top line forward. Right now they basically have 2 second lines and 1 like kind of fringe second, third line. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
they have a lot of depth in goal scoring, which I guess is good, but not that guy who can consistently give you those game changing goals.
Absolutely. Let's see. Anybody else to Montreal you want to talk about, Omer?
I'm trying to think. I mean, most of the other signings were pretty minor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if
Okay,
that's the case,
one big thing I want to point out about Montreal is I'm just looking at their cap friendly, and next off season, you guys just on the forward core are losing Tatar, Gallagher, Dano, Armia, Lehkonen, Kotkaniemi.
Well, I don't know if we're losing them.
Well,
have to
I just
re-sign
mean
them.
their contracts are expiring, and a lot of them are going to look for upgrades. Maybe not so much the depth guys, but the young guys like Kotkaniemi. And
Yeah, Tatar's gone. Tatar is going to be gone for sure next year. Kotkaniemi, I mean, depending on the season he has next year, is not going to need a huge raise. Maybe he's going to want a bridge, kind of like a 2-year, $3 million type contract. And you got to remember too, we're going to be bringing in guys like Cole Caulfield.
Yeah.
By next year, so maybe that'll replace some of the offense. But yeah, there is going to be some big decisions going forward for them. Any other big sign? I guess Craig Smith. Did you guys want to talk about Craig Smith?
Yeah, we can talk about him.
Sure. Okay, well, after this, I think we should talk about Vancouver. Just cut.
Yeah, we're cut right
That's
here,
what I
yeah.
wanted to go into. Yeah.
Talk about Vancouver. So let's talk about Vancouver right now. Fuck Craig Smith, dude.
All right. So Vancouver. What are they doing? I mean,
Transition.
No, that was good. That was good. I just wasn't expecting.
no, but seriously, I mean, they've lost Stetcher, they've lost Markstrom, they've lost Tanev.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a rough offseason for a rebuilding
Absolutely.
Yeah.
team to lose that many guys.
Well, not even a rebuilding team. Like, they were looking pretty promising even going to those playoffs, but now it's
that's
just
what I
like
mean.
with all their shitty contracts that they have, right? They're just absolutely screwing themselves over.
I mean, I think they have Jay Beagle at like $4 million or something like that. They have Louis Erickson at 6 still.
that hurts.
I know they got it.
They have a lot of bad contracts. Some of them are expiring next year, like Sutter and Berchi. Jay Beagle's got a couple more years, and Antoine Roussel. But they also got to find a way to sign Vertanen and Gaudette still this offseason with $1.9 million in space. And whatever they do this offseason, they also have to keep in mind that next year they're re-signing Pedersen and Hughes, who combined pick up a huge
that's going to be crazy.
I mean, yeah, those guys might get, $16, $17 million combined, right?
Yeah, definitely in a very tough position for a young team trying to improve.
That's why I was confused as to why. I mean, I get they only traded a third for him, but why they picked up Schmidt? He's still on a pretty long-term contract at something like $5-6 million.
Yeah, 5.9.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. You know what I mean? They do still have to re-sign Vertanen. And they already lost guys like Toffoli, who were kind of big for their team at the end of the year. Stetcher, who's kind of been a mainstay on their blue line for a few years now. So I don't know how much better they really got this offseason.
On the bright side, they have Demko and Holtby in net for $5.3 combined, which is a pretty good goaltending combination, especially at that hit. But that defense just changed completely, and I don't know if it improved or not.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see going forward.
Mhm. I mean, I definitely do think we can see a bit of a fall off in their game. That's my opinion, but
I mean, the other guys are just going to have to pick it up, right?
exactly.
Hughes is going to have a monster sophomore season.
I would not surprise me if he does. He's only going to get better, right?
No, exactly.
I think they'll be fine just because of how weak the Pacific Division is. Other than Vegas, who knows how good the other team is going to be. So
I'm sure there'll still be a playoff team, whether it's wild card or not. Just because of the state of the West right now, it's not stacked like the East looks like it's going to be for the next few years.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the only thing helping them out.
But I don't see them as a contender any more than they were this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, like, they gave up more than they got, but at the same time, if they can perform how they performed last year, with that goaltending back there as well, 2 good goalies, right? So they should be fine.
Well, it's just about how their young guys improve. If they end up improving and filling those gaps, then these moves don't look too bad, especially with how you were saying, Roy, some of those contracts expiring next year. But that's going to be the big if for them this year.
Moving to another team over in the West, Edmonton. They got.
Hey, we predicted it. We predicted Barry right there. Hey?
You did indeed. Absolutely. How do you feel about the contract?
Nice contract. 1 year, $3.5 million. Can't argue with that. Is that?
Yeah. That's a great contract for a guy who's like easily a top 4 defenseman. He'll help out their power play. Great contract. I think he'll fit well with the team, especially we don't know what's happening with Oscar Klefbom right now, so they needed to fill that hole. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
I mean, I say expect him to put up 60 points next year. Playing on the power play, which is kind of his specialty, with guys like McDavid, obviously, Draisaitl, Nuge. There's a lot of guys on that team that can produce on the power play, and Barry, that's his thing, right? We saw that this year in Toronto. He doesn't do much in terms of defense, but he does put up points for you on the power play. So I think look for a 60-point season for him.
Yeah. I just definitely think, looking at their contract, they definitely got a steal on him, right? Just because he had such a down year with Toronto with the whole Babcock situation and the switching of coaches. I mean, like you guys said, Edmonton, like they sort of do need more help scoring aside from their like top three guys, right? So, I mean, if you can get somebody who can put up the points on the back end, who can also just sort of be a quarterback for the power play at that price, that's a great signing, especially when he's a top 4 D-man for under $4 million.
Yeah, and he was looking for an 8x8 last year, right, from the Avalanche. So if you get him for 1 year, no risk basically.
Oh yeah.
And you're seeing a lot of guys take contracts like that just because of the flat cap. Same thing with Toffoli that we talked about earlier. Like, there's no way he's getting signed for that low if the cap goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Taylor Hall signing 1 year. I mean, I think he'll benefit playing with Eichel. They'll just rack up points, and next year he'll cash in.
Yeah.
But
all right. So we're gonna wrap it up here. We're running out of time. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you like it, hit like on the video. If you really liked it, hit subscribe. Always helps out. And also check us out on Spotify. We recently got moved over there as well, so check it out.